What's up? Welcome to the Digital Academy. I hope you're doing okay. This next one should be pretty interesting. It's called The Benefits of a Mental Breakdown. And I know there's a lot of pain and struggle right now, and I think this might be an interesting topic. And Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell are probably both names. You probably heard of Rogan for sure, and Duncan Trussell is another guy that's a podcaster slash comedian. All right, let's check this out. Cheers, and Digital Academy, let's check out this video and hopefully put ourselves in a better mood. Digital Academy, Duncan Trussell, Joe Rogan. Love you guys.
To me,
Okay.
what the funniest fucking thing is how much we lie to ourselves. That's where it gets amazing. It's like, you were talking about, and I've done the exact same thing with screen time when you're presented that humiliating number of hours and you've been telling friends you're busy and you're fucking looking at that just thinking like, dude, I've been like, looking at bullshit. But then before you do that, you're like, but it's my job, I've got to kind of be online. It's like, no. You're addicted to technology, and because you can't stand the fact that you don't have the discipline to stop using it, you would rather make up a story involving some absolutely verifiable bullshit so that you don't have to deal with the fact that you aren't in full control of yourself.
And it's a non-rewarding addiction, which is really strange. It's like when you're looking at stories on like the Apple News feed or something, you're scrolling, looking for something that's going to captivate you.
Yeah.
What is, Apple having problems with their keyboards?
Yeah.
You start reading this and it's like, Huawei can't sell laptops in the U.S. anymore. Like how much of that, like you were saying earlier, how much of that is junk thoughts?
Yeah.
These are junk thoughts, like junk food.
Junk food.
You're just consuming.
And I don't think it's useless. I think it serves a purpose. Like,
some of it does.
In the sense of maybe not a purpose in the way you're going to be as a human, but a purpose in the sense of like, if you apply a little bit of like mindfulness when you're using your phone, how do I feel right now? You know what I'm talking about? Like, how do I fucking feel? You'll realize you feel a specific way. It's a kind of like numbness. There's a quality of like, a kind of like sedated numbness to the hypnotic state you've been lulled into by the algorithms. And there's some pleasant kind of like, I guess you could compare it to some like low level euphoric painkiller, but not very euphoric, mostly just a mild numbness that is pretty good at turning off anxiety in this, or you could at least displace your own personal anxiety. Like if I'm scanning through my phone and I find the inevitable bad news, whatever form it's in, I could pretend that my anxiety is related to that news, and then that's when you get people who are very anxious and I've seen it. I mean, who was some person tweeted, I'm here in this beautiful place and I can't enjoy it because of our president. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, I'm not sure that's the real reason why you can't enjoy that place. I think it might be actually that you haven't dealt with the fact that you're freaking the fuck out, right?
Yeah.
That to me is like the purpose of a phone. It's very good at tricking yourself into thinking that the reason you feel like shit is because of something happening in the world.
It's a bandwidth eater too. And here's what the problem with that is. Sometimes you have like these legitimate thoughts. And when you have these legitimate thoughts, meaning like something you're working on, something you're like, whether it's an idea you're trying to do on stage or something else, another project that you're doing, these things, they require your bandwidth, right? And when you're always looking at your phone, it chips away percentages of your bandwidth. 10 here, 5 there, 20 there, 7 there. And you don't think about it because, nope, I'm still concentrating on the project. I'm still on the project. Yeah. But really, no. Really, you're in two rivers at the same time. You're in this wacky river of nonsense and wondering who got this and how much they're getting in this divorce and who died in the Dominican Republic. Oh, my God, another person, another tourist. Oh, my God. Yeah. And you're just, if you want to look at all the bad stuff that happens amongst 7 billion people. You have to think of all the interactions that humans have.
Yeah.
All the literally billions of interactions every day. People constantly, and occasionally one goes fucking Western.
Yeah.
One goes sideways, and that's the one you see on YouTube. Jesus Christ, this world's going to shit.
Yeah.
And then you watch another one, and you watch another one, and you watch infectious diseases and snake bites and what happens when you get necropsy, when your fucking flesh starts falling off.
Sure.
Flesh-eating bacteria.
Classic.
How'd they get that? Snorkeling? And then the next thing you know, you're fucking just numb to your real life because you're taking in data from everywhere.
Yeah, that's it. Fuck, man. And it's like, then...
Just a quick point, guys. I'm not going to pause this a lot because I love podcasts like this where you can tell that these two guys are buddies because the fluidity of the back and forth exchange and ranting, it's like they give each other space to do these rants. It almost seems like a scripted video, and I know just it sounds like it's just a segment of a podcast set to a terrific animation, but like After School always does. I love these guys. Anyways, just wanted to say I'm gonna maybe make some comments at the end, but just let it play because I have a feeling Duncan's about to go nuts here with not in a good way, with a good rant. He can rant.
That
like no
gets
one else.
inside of you, and now you're just a turbulent. You have a turbulent self that has digested a version of the world that's only half true, and so because of that, you're going to be half a person because you're not looking into like
this guy here. He's like his whole thought pattern is around this kraken, or around this. The kraken's like the sea monster. If you watched my video a little while ago about Cthulhu and H.P. Lovecraft, it's like that's this guy's like walking around. His thoughts are a horror movie, full of monsters, and it's only half the truth. Right? Sorry, I said I wasn't gonna pause, and then I paused and make a super rambly point. Okay, here we go.
your own whatever the fuck you are.
You ever have a friend go crazy on you?
Yeah.
I've had friends that like legitimately lost their mind. I can't talk to them anymore. Like you would talk to him about events, and his version of events were just like so not what actually happened. And you'll go, oh, this is a person that's lost their marbles. People that just can't keep it together anymore, and for whatever reason, whether it's a combination of life stress and biological situation, whatever the fuck they've got going on, uniquely in their own brain. But some people just all of a sudden not there anymore, not keeping it together.
The brain is an organ and it malfunctions, and sometimes you go nuts, and you get stigmatized for it, which really sucks because because that just adds to the problem. Like if you see somebody in a cast and you're like, oh, what happened to your arm? And they'll tell you, oh, whatever, I fell down. But you talk to someone who's been like hospitalized for a few weeks and they tell you, yeah, I had to go to the hospital. I had a nervous breakdown. I went crazy, shit my pants, threw my dog through a window. You're like, you want to be compassionate, but there's some part of you that's like, oh, now this is a crazy person. It's like, it's just something happened. The operating system temporarily crashed. And quite often, I think that could be a very good thing. I think that having your personality or your ego or crash can often mean that you were trying to be somebody that you aren't. And some people invest so much energy in
self-defining.
They just want to be something, they since they were a kid, their mother was telling them you should be like this, and then they try to be like this, and they hold up this thing. They're always working to hold up this giant tail feather, and their arms start shaking, and then they can't hold it up, and that's when they have like anger outbursts, or suddenly like their friends are like, you turned into someone that I've never met. I don't even know who that is. It's like, no, that is, you met them. You met underneath the tail feather, the seething sea of anger and disappointment and sadness. You met that thing that they're trying to avoid by looking up at this mask that they're holding up to the world. But that fucking seething sea of disappointment and anger and horror and sadness, that's where it's at, man. You got to go into that thing. And for some people, the only way they can go into that is by having a full-scale nervous breakdown, because then they can have permission to dive into that awful vortex of darkness, because underneath that vortex of darkness is paradise. Underneath that, that's love and happiness and joy and connection and tranquility and all that stuff. And everyone thinks that the way to get to that point is by avoiding this awful black forest that surrounds the Garden of Eden, which is inside everybody. It's inside everybody. It's there. It's there. But until you address the internal structures that you haven't acknowledged, you're always going to go back to that place where you find yourself morose and depressed and angry and you don't know why. You always go back to that place until you sit with the sadness inside of you. You have to do that.
Wow.
What you're describing is coming out of the closet. And,
Yeah, for a lot of people, that is right? What it is, man. Yeah. It's coming out of the closet. And there's a lot of closets, man. There's not just the gay closet. Right. There's all kinds of closet. There's the artist closet. Some people are fucking accountants. They're wearing suits and their ties on tight and they're fucking like organized and disciplined. But inside, they're probably painters. They probably want to fucking paint. They want to paint day glow mountains down at the beach. That's what they really are. But their daddy or their mommy wanted them to be a good little businessman. So they became this thing that's the opposite of what they are. This is the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. God forgive me because I've quoted it way too many times, but it's better to be an honest street sweeper than a dishonest king. It's better to be a happy guy brushing fucking leaves up the street than it is to be some zillionaire who inside is dying or numb or miserable. Mostly numb. Numb's the word. Most people are just numb.
But as long as these people can quantify on paper, I still have a X $1 million home. My car still costs X thousand dollars. This suit is an X suit. I am still ahead. I am not going to abandon all these things.
As long as they don't see through the bullshit of the game they think they're winning.
They have to fall. Right. It's almost like you have to fall to really. That's what you got to appreciate, those moments when it all falls apart on you, because that means you've got an opportunity to try it again. Let's take a new, fresh perspective.
And it's a beautiful idea, which is that heartbreak is actually your ego cracking. And the moment that cracks, you're in the experience of truth. And when you're in the experience of truth, that's when you can really become who you are. But to get to who you are, it's like when a bone heals the wrong way. Like, that's what a lot of people's entire personality is. It's like a bone that grew the wrong way, and that needs a fucking a snap, a crack, and you get that through science. You need that initial fucking thing, and
it's a beautiful analogy,
and it hurts. It hurts, but we're pain-avoiding creatures, so we think that. So we're always running away from this pain. But the problem is, as we're running away from pain, we're still exactly in pain. It's basically like being on fire and running away from water. You're just running away from the water because I don't know. That's a stupid analogy, actually.
No, you were doing great up until that, though.
Yeah.
That was fun. I love that ending too, because he is on such a good rant and then made kind of a dumb metaphor. Oh man, been there. So, anyways, I don't know. I can't even. Those guys were just going back and forth and ranting. Very interesting. I love both those guys. I could listen to both those guys from all day. It's kind of hard to make a coherent summary remarks on that. Other than that, was just interesting, and it put me in a better mood. I'm just in a better mood than when I started that video. So hopefully you are too. And hang in there, man. Better days ahead. And Digital Academy. Check out more videos if you want. Whatever. Cheers.